say, the ruling from the High Court of BBI. So we still don't know yet where that will take us. So it is in order. Let politicians do their thing. It is the season. Kenyans love politics. We've just been saying that. They also want to see what their leaders are doing. They want their leaders to stand firm. Yeah. In fact, there's a lot of pressure from most of our leaders from their ground, to stand firm. Yeah. And they're feeling it's time that we want to see our leader also, at the front.
Okay.
So it is in order and it is the season.
All right. Honorable Hamalo.
Thank you very much. Before I give my remarks, allow me to send a message of condolences to the family of the late Senator Victor Prengei, who was our colleague in Parliament and passed on through the road accident. My heartfelt condolences to the family, and we pray to the Almighty God to give the family strength and comfort at this difficult time. And lastly, allow me to also pass my message of condolence to Mama Gertrude Wafuho, Gertrude Wafuho's family. Mama Gertrude Wafuho is the mother of the CAS in charge of Treasury, Eric Wafuho, who passed on, and she'll be laid to rest in Dalu on Saturday. So I pass my condolences to the family, and we pray to the Almighty God to give them strength at this difficult time. Now, coming to the politics, the most important activity of any politician or any political party is the general election. The general election is at the corner. And at a time like this, every political party goes back into planning. You hear now people are talking about manifestos. Manifestos are these documents of accountability that people use, as a marketing tool that people use to attract the voters. So at a time like this, people have gone back to the drawing board. People are doing the planning. There's an American philosopher called Benjamin Franklin, and Benjamin Franklin says that failing to plan is planning to fail. This is the time you see political parties are doing SWOT analysis. They want to understand what is their strength, what is their weaknesses, which are the areas that are red, which ones are green, which ones are gray. So they come back together with different political parties for purposes of strengthening themselves to capture power. So this is the season. So really, from now up to the general election, the news is politics. We'll not hear of anything. And as politicians come together, or as they develop the manifestos are supposed to be marketing tools. You have to look at the value proposition of the voters. At the moment as we speak, the youth contribute a very big percentage as far as voters are concerned. So you'll see in many party manifestos, everybody wants to attract the youth, who are the majority. It has just happened in Zambia. So as we move forward, we are going to hear a lot of party manifestos, which will be the order of the day. Many coalitions, you are going to have a lot of mergers and acquisitions. This is to strengthen yourself, to have a competitive advantage over your competitor, so that you can be able to capture power. Yes. Boss,
you've called this the Old Boys Club, and you can see on the front page here of the Standard, President Uhuru Kenyatta is calling another Raila and Oka meeting. What do you make of that push? Because we also know now Jubilee, which was together with the Deputy President, now is planning to have a meeting, a coalition with the ODM. What do you make of this call by the President to insist on Oka and Raila meeting again?
I think if you listen to the various political rallies that have been there before, the rallying call or the instruction to the people from the opposition, which is now in government, was that if you don't unite, then William Ruto will defeat you. Kalonzo Musyoka himself said, in his own words, that my biggest agenda is to defeat William Ruto. So I think they've realized that William Ruto is the man to beat in the next election. And the only way they can beat him, in their minds, is to have a coalition and field one candidate. Hence the reason why you see all of them. If you look at the front page, Raila's quote, if you listen to the one by Onyonka, if you listen to Murathe and all of them, they have all them are talking about that they need to field one candidate in order to become a formidable force against William Ruto. I think the one that is different is the meeting by the Mount Kenya region, where they are very clear that they have drafted their priorities, or in the process of drafting their priorities for the region, which they can use to negotiate with whichever presidential candidate. And I think that they're in the right track, because it's no longer about just coalitions alone is not sufficient.
Yeah.
Kenyans have actually matured to the extent that they want to know what your agenda is. And there's been several economic forums recently. There's been the Central Kenya Forum that was organized by Dr. William Ruto. There was that one that for Coast Region, and now there was one coming up for Western Region. And all it is to be that let each region say what agenda do they want put on the table and in the manifesto to ensure that their region is not left behind.
Yeah.
Not just to put a tribal kingpin in position, but to be able to ensure that the livelihoods of the people of their region is taken care of, that the economy of the regions that have suffered in the past can be able to resolve. And we know that the biggest hit has been the Mount Kenya region, that I think from tea, they were making 130 billion a year, and that has dropped significantly. We know that in Meru region, they have suffered due to the locking out from the UK market of their Mira trade. Yeah. So people are concerned and say, what are the alternatives that we want to get involved in? If you come to Uasin Gishu and the larger North Rift, again, the biggest challenge is their traditional trade of maize, milk, and wheat has also suffered significantly, and they want to know what it is you'll do to change their livelihoods.
But can you do that without coalitions? This is what the Deputy President had to say in regards to coalitions. Listen.
Kutana ndio Ruto ati tushinde. Sasa nitakosaje kushinda nyinyi na hamuna plan? Na Wakenya wanatafuta plan, na hiyo plan ndio tuko naye. Si njia ni kutafuta a better plan, lakini kusema tu mnataka kuungana, that's not a plan. Si namna hiyo. Hiyo ni maneno tu ya bure.
Can the Deputy President win without a coalition?
You see, no, coalition with who? Coalition with 6 people, or coalition with the millions of Kenyans who are going to vote? Is it a coalition with 60% of the electorate that will be the youth? Is it a coalition with the voters that are on the voters register? Because ultimately, those are the people that matter. Believe me, when someone walks to the polling station and they see all the pictures and names that are there, people will vote for the face they recognize and the voice that they've had speaking to their issues constantly. They just don't vote because they say, I think this person is in a coalition with my tribesman. No, that is not the psyche. Anybody who has studied the psyche of voters, that is not the psyche. Yeah. So you may get into a coalition in order for developing an agenda. That is fine. But if you're getting into a coalition because you assume that there are certain people who have the privilege of being tribal kingpins and therefore must always remain in power. People assume because Mudavadi has been a leader, a political leader, and he's still a political leader in Western Kenya, then if you put him on the ballot, then you will have the whole of Western Kenya revolving around that candidacy. Others think if you get a coalition with Gideon Moi, then you probably take what was to be his father's base for the last 24 years. So it's a theory that in the past has worked when Kenyans thought tribe. Yeah. And like I've always said, the majority of the voters in 2022 do not know tribe. The youth, believe me, half of them don't speak their tribal language, or they haven't grown, the people they've grown up with is so mixed that they do not have that affiliation that people maybe my age and upwards would be thinking about. Okay. So the conversation is changing and there is need to do that. And because Kenyans have realized that at the end of the day, it is the person who will improve your livelihood that matters. So the conversation is changing. Okay. Yes, Kasanga, this is an old trick being used in the wrong time. In the new
dispensation, you think? Kasanga, have we grown beyond these tribal cocoons that we talk about? Because there's a difference between speaking about it here on TV and then go ground Have we really grown beyond it?
No, we've not gone beyond it.
So you still propagate tribal politics?
Let me just
The reality
my
on the ground.
comments.
Yeah.
My dear friend, let me give my comments. We are tribal.
Yeah.
We have our tribes. And on the ground, the tribes are there, and people identify with them. And the problem that we are having here is because we tend to use tribalism as if it is a bad thing. We have never honed, and this is now a problem with the political leadership.
Yeah.
We have to really turn the tune of tribalism not to be a negative thing, but a positive thing. We could use our tribes to positivity. There's something to celebrate in where I come from, and our people, and our forefathers, and our culture,
Yeah.
the food we eat, you know, the way we dance, the way we get married, the way we bury.
Yeah.
And the people still hold on to those things. That's a fact, whether we want to admit it or not. And yes, we have a new generation, but our new generation has not become all completely merged. Yes, we are in the process. That is definitely happening. We are seeing a lot of intermarriages, but I think we still have another generation or two by the time you can say now you can completely disregard
Yeah.
the tribal aspect. And the problem with this tribalism is when now, during these coalitions and things like that, when you see it being used in a negative way, which should not be the case. And, you know, this connotation of tribal kingpins, making our leaders look as if they are not our leaders, is really negative. This is now where the negativity comes from. His Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, if you go to Ukambani, you know, there's a reason why we consider him our leader. He understands the issues of the people of Ukambani more than anybody else will do from any other region. And there's nothing wrong with that. So does the coastal region, who have been trying to pull together and saying even them, they need their own outfit that will deal with their own particular issues. So is Rift Valley, where my good friend comes from. And especially them, because they have had this representation in government for a long time. So they know what it means to be in government. And Mount Kenya, the same thing. There is nothing wrong with people identifying with their tribes. If anything, we are stronger because we have these, you know, uniquenesses of ourselves as a people when we come together. You know, we celebrate ourselves in many ways. Even in the memes, you will see memes going around. And, you know, social media is for young people.
Yeah.
You will see memes of them celebrating each other. You know, you'll hear all, you know, the Kambas are the most loyal, the Kikuyus are the most, you know, business savvy, the Luyas are this and that. We joke about these things.
Yeah.
And that joking is a celebration of the people who we are. And there's nothing wrong if we can celebrate ourselves in a social setting. What is wrong with us celebrating ourselves, even when it comes to our governance?
Okay.
There's absolutely nothing wrong. I really don't like the fact that our leaders are being reduced. You shouldn't do that. Because again, we are all one Kenyans. And in the end, we'll come to the table, all of us, to bring all our issues on the table and ask, as we negotiate,
Yeah.
how will my interests and the interests of my people be fully covered and be fully taken care of?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my position
Honorable
on
Omalo?
that.
Whether we like, whether we like it or not,
Yes.
whether we like it or not, everybody comes from a tribe.
Yeah.
And if we look at the way people have been voting, largely it's been tribal based. If you look at the statistics, for instance, Raila Odinga in the last general elections, the percentage of the votes he got highest was from the Luo Nyanza. When it comes to President Uhuru Kenyatta, the largest vote block was Mount Kenya region. Musalia Mudavadi, the time he was on the ballot, the biggest voting bloc was from the Luhya nation. Why do we see in Mount Kenya right now, people want their interests on the table? It's a tribal bloc. So we cannot run away as far as politics is concerned. Everybody will ask, who is on that table? You've just heard Moses Kuria asking, the people who met in Nakuru, who was on the table representing our region?
Yeah.
The people who are in Naivasha, who was in the table representing the region. This is to tell you, you cannot ignore tribe. Tribe brings people together. They've come together because of their cultural practices. They speak the language, and there's that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
That when we are together, we can be able to advocate for the interests of the community. So we cannot run away. And that's why you've heard Moses Kuria saying that you want to support a presidential candidate who will go into the coalition.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that the future is in the coalitions. There's no any single party that is likely to win president with ease. without going through in the coalition. We've seen this happening. We started from the Rainbow Coalition. We came to the issues of, for example, CORD coming to NASA, now in One Kenya Alliance. So we can't run away from that. But as we move on, the groupings based on tribe, we also have groupings of the generation.
Yeah.
At the moment, for example, the youth. Majority of the youth, the way Honorable Boss has said, it is true. Some of them can't even speak their mother tongue. Even when it comes to some of their cultural practices, they're totally different.
Yeah.
But there's something that unites the youth together. The big problem now with the youth is the issue of unemployment. They've gone to school properly. They've cleared university. Those were the days when you go to university, you are assured of a job. But the majority of the Kenyans today, who are even graduates, have no jobs. And that's why when you look at majority of the issues in the party manifestos, they are talking about the youth as far as the issue of employment. When you talk about economic recovery, what is the end result? Is you want to improve the economy so that people can also have jobs. The youth are the big determining factor right now as we move towards the general election. Yeah. And because of their problems, it's going now to be a bigger picture as opposed to the aspect of the tribe.
Yeah.
You know? So every political party or coalition, if it wants to win, it must do a thorough delicate balance on how you're going to win these great customers.
Yeah. Right
now, even you want to the youth, you cannot win. We've seen many even presidential candidates.
Yeah.
They might look old, whatever they are. But when it comes to dress code, when they're out there, you want to resonate with the youth. I've seen it happening. Okay. And I've no doubt when we'll start doing political rallies, you'll see the dress code is totally going to change. It has happened in Zambia. The majority of the people who voted in the president was the youth population. And we're going to have a revolution.
Yeah.
If at all these political parties or coalitions, they're not going to put the interests of the youth at heart. And that's why I've been on record encouraging young people to join politics. And that's why the other day when we were looking at the political parties, when we had this campaign financing, that ceiling, some of us we were not very comfortable because it was kind of discouraging the young people who don't have those amounts of money to come into active politics. Okay. But I'm encouraging the young people, this is the time you should come into leadership. The leadership, we've had old people there. We've been singing for these people. When you were still young in school, we're being told you're the leaders of tomorrow. But right now, we are still competing them. So things will change.
All right. Boss, when you think of tribal...
No, I think I'm very happy that Dr. Chris Malwa, who's my good friend, agrees with me. Because, first of all, you must remember, Raila has never won an election. So if all this... And the reason why, at the beginning, he didn't win, because his tribe was largely seen as a Luo Nyanza tribe, party. It was never seen as a political party even for the larger Nyanza region. He never won. So if it was working, that tribal cocoon never works. Then you remember he tried a coalition called CORD. Did he win? The answer is no. Then he tried another coalition called NASA. Did he win? The answer is no. If you do something the same way they say every time and it doesn't work, then you must reflect and start asking yourself, what is the problem? And you agree with me that it's the youth, and the youth have their own tribe, you know, or the way they think, the TikTok generation and the social media generation. Those are the people who are going to be the voters. So it has never worked. When you say that Mudavadi, most of the votes that he got in the time when he ran for presidential campaign, let me correct you, he got 400,000 votes. And the Luyas are more than 400,000. So what happened? If that tribal cocoon of his work, how come he didn't get 100% of his tribal cocoon? So it does not work. People have to resonate with you as a person, even from within your tribe. It can't be just because I come out here and I am this tribe, I'm definitely getting my tribal votes. No, you also have to have an agenda for those people. There has to be some likability that you must have that touches them for them to be able to get into that ballot booth and tick your name. It is not just because you're a tribe. In fact, when they look at those names, they don't even know that Mudavadi is Luya. Half of them.
Malwa, your response to that?
No,
I'm giving him facts. I want him to challenge my facts.
I think my context was different. I said, majority of those people who voted for that particular candidate, if you evaluate the voting block, the majority of the voters come from their community. So when you look at the votes that Musalia Mudavadi got at that particular time,
400,000.
Yeah, majority were from where? Almost 80% or so were from
But he
the
didn't
Western
get all
region.
of it.
When it comes to Uhuru Kenyatta, he won the elections.
Yeah.
Look at the percentage of the voters that he got from his backyard. The majority were from Mount Kenya. And even in 2022, if, His Excellency, the Deputy President, the majority voters is going to get that is assured are from his backyard. So the issue is this. First, as you go to the presidential elections, you must come with your bloc. Majority of the people who vote for you are from your region. That's the first thing. Right now we are talking about development. I've gone to Mount Kenya region and I want to tell you, the development that I've seen in Mount Kenya region, and if I compare in where I come from, it's totally different. I've seen highways. Go to Wangige, go to Kiambu, go deep inside. The roads have been done. But you don't see the president going to open those roads. No. He'll go and open other areas. Even at the deputy president's place, the roads have been done. So you are seeing people struggling to become president because it is assumed when you assume presidency, you can exercise discretion and there's more development in the region that you come from. That's why there's that struggling. Everybody wants to go for this. That's the truth of the matter. Right now, even in the cabinet, the way the cabinet has been of the Jubilee government, who are the majority members of parliament? I mean, majority cabinet secretaries and PSS. They've come from the Mount Kenya region and the Rift Valley region. That's the truth of the matter. In Kibaki government, from the Luhya nation which I represent, we had so many CSS at that time. At the moment, in Western region, we only have one CS. So the truth of the matter, why people are struggling, so and so wants to be the president, because people think when one of our own occupies State House, more development will cascade down to the region, and that's a fact. Okay. We cannot run away from that. Yeah. Recently, when Prime Minister went into a handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta, look at the goodies. They've trickled in Luo Nyanza. And that's why you've seen when you come to Western Kenya, right now, they're also so bitter, by the way. They say, what has the president done for us? If you've seen factories like Zoya Sugar Company going down, Mumias Sugar going down, you know, the industry and paper going down. So they were like, if maybe one of our own is there, he can exercise discretion and we can have more development. Yeah. When you look at the roads, the universities, personally, I brought a motion on the floor of the House that you want a university in Trans Nzoia. We spoke to His Excellency and the Deputy. Up to now, the issue of the university has not been implemented. And when a university is in a region, it improves the economy. Yeah. If one of our own maybe was up there, that will have been implemented. Okay. So this is the truth of the matter. Okay. It's about sharing the national cake.
Okay. Honorable Kasanga, now that is where the rubber really meets the road. The equitable distribution of resources and positions. How can this be done so well that everybody else feels included? Because at that rate, what Honorable Malo is saying, then we will need leaders from different regions for that region to be developed. But we can't have leaders from all regions at the same time.
Yeah, so it's a question of inclusivity. Mm-hmm. And giving that inclusivity in a way that it can be seen to be done. And these are really the conversations we've been having, even now as we are, you know, talking amongst ourselves in the coalition, that how do we ensure that the next government will be all inclusive, that every region will be represented when it comes to the sharing of resources and the representation of all the different groupings of people, and especially the youth. I mean, it's a fact that the youth have become, you know, and are slowly growing, not even slowly, they are fast growing into a single tribe of their own. And it's correct to say tribe is a dynamic, you know, sort of thing, and it can be shaped. And, you know, we have to give it to the Deputy President for having now created, and, you know, that hustler narrative which creates that new tribe of young people. And it's okay, it's part of the game. And I think for the rest of the coalitions, then we have our own then conversation that we have to create. But most importantly, this issue of inclusivity. It has been central. I think I have spoken particularly about it, and I have been, it's been consistent in my conversation, even from where we come from as Wiper, that we have to have an inclusive government. And even the way we have, you know, carried ourselves in our region, we have made sure that we have carried everyone with us. Even the few dissenting voices that are there, we give them an opportunity to present, you know, their issues as we go ahead with negotiating, you know, the future of the coalition. And it is critical. And if we don't do that going forward, then I think we are really going to miss the boat. This last 10 years, well, next year will now form 10 years of the Jubilee government. You know, there's a lot of lessons that we have drawn from there. a lot of lessons when it comes to the issues of shared prosperity. And it came out very clearly in the BBI. If you remember the first report of the BBI, shared prosperity formed a very critical part of the conversation, where a lot of the Kenyans felt that we are not feeling this shared prosperity, trickling to all the regions. And, this has a serious impact. Like Honorable Wamalwa is saying, it is easy to see how, national resources and the national cake has been shared in the last 10 years. And, we are saying that needs to come out differently in the next cycle of politics, where that national cake must be spread equally. And, we have to celebrate devolution when we speak about prosperity. And part of this shared prosperity, of course, is increasing and strengthening devolution and all the instruments that protect, devolution. And devolution and democracy, because those are the things then that ensure that the gains of this shared prosperity then can be seen through for a longer period and for a longer time, and especially for our youth who we are really worried about the future.
Yeah.
And again, when we talk about inclusivity and shared prosperity, we cannot run away from the conversation of corruption, and having a leadership that is responsible, that can stand firm for when it comes to the value of the shilling, that money which belongs to Kenyans. After all this government, all this competition we are having as politicians to run government, of course, is to manage the national kitty, which is money that belongs to Kenyans, not government money.
Okay.
And the question of corruption becomes very central to our conversation. Even at One Kenya Alliance, our conversations yesterday, when you finally see our manifesto, when we are ready to unleash or to unveil our manifesto, we are very clear on how we are going to deal with corruption. And us as WIPA, I've spoken about this many times. I sit confidently speaking for my party leader, because I know we come clean. We come with clean hands when we come to the table. And Kenyans must remember, there will be no serious rebuilding of the economy in the next electoral cycle if we are not dealing decisively with the issue of grand corruption.
Yeah.
That is a conversation we are going to lose completely if today Kenyans, young people, you cannot now say you want your leaders first to show you where their wealth has come from. This path that you have walked as a leader, how did you get here? What have you done with our money in the past as a leader? What are you going to do with our money going forward? What will you do if our money is stolen?
Yeah.
Because we all know, with our 3 trillion budget, it is there in the news how much money we have bled to corruption, grand corruption.
2 billion a day.
Exactly, 2 billion a day.
According
so
to the president,
any front runner or anyone running for presidency today for high office, any coalition, this question must be put on the table. And Kenyans must demand, first you show us, where did your wealth come from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is this money that you're using to run these campaigns is coming from?
Okay.
Number 2, what will you do if our money is stolen in the next government?
Yeah.
And these are questions that we're already discussing. We already have plans which we shall unveil. And as WIPA, we've been very categorical. We come in clean hands. In fact, we are so confident, and that is the one thing I can tell you we're always happy about.
All right.
And going forward, this is what is going to form the conversation.
Okay. Boss, there's a question here from Ricky Ndemo. He says DP Ruto appointed the cabinet ministers from one region in the first term of Jubilee government. How will he be different if he takes the presidency?
Okay, first of all, I think it's very important that I'm able to respond to what my colleague said, because they spoke for a bit too long. First of all, I think the fallacy that if somebody is president, they're going to bring development to their region where they come from, actually was resolved in the 2010 constitution when we put in devolution. Because with devolution, then the agenda or the prosperity of each region is actually set out through the county governments. And it was for that reason that were changed. Even if you look at what the president went to launch in Nyanza region as a prelude to Madaraka Day celebrations there in Kisumu, it was actually programs that had been undertaken by the governor, and other programs had been undertaken as part of the national budget specific to that region under the behest of the county assembly. So devolution resolved that problem and sorted it out once and for all.
There were no national projects?
And then you can check what the president launched when he went to Nyanza region. He did launch quite a number of projects. I think everyone saw that on television. Now, I know that my colleague here has alluded to shared prosperity being put in the constitution under BBI. Actually, those are lofty statements that mean nothing. Shared prosperity or equity and equitable distribution of wealth in a country does not happen because you have made a statement in the constitution. It only happens if you have fiscal discipline, you have prudent economic policies and stewardship. That is what creates shared prosperity. It's the manner in which you implement your economic model. It has nothing to do with what you say in the constitution. You can say it till the cows come home, but it will not. The fact that you put the word shared prosperity in the constitution does not help you. In fact, if you read the wording of that in the BBI report, in the BBI bill, it doesn't actually tell us how it will be implemented. And if you use countries that have achieved this, like the Scandinavian countries, they don't even have it in their constitution. It is fiscal discipline at the national treasury and the economic model that they chose as a country to be able to use. So let's forget those big words that were put there in the BBI report. I'll give another example in which the BBI bill tried to say that to achieve economic prosperity. There's a part about regional integration. What they put there in the constitution is that part of achieving economic growth would be to have regional integration with their neighbors. So basically what Kenya was saying is that we will achieve economic growth if we are friends with our neighbors. It's like saying, Gladys, your livelihood will change if there is a law saying I must be Trevor Binja's friend. In fact, it's so preposterous because even if you wanted to achieve that, then you do it through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, through bilateral agreements and international treaties. That is how it is achieved, not by merely saying that we shall do it. Because even if you put it in our constitution, which is actually in the BBI draft bill, even when you put it in the constitution, there is no obligation on our neighbors or other countries in our region to do it. So Kenya is being foolish, putting an obligation upon itself without a reciprocal agreement or obligation with our neighbors. In fact, it is the height of stupidity when I read it. What is the point? The reason why you have a bilateral agreement is because you have agreed and I have agreed. But I can't agree by myself in no less than my constitution. That is frightening. Yes.
Okay, but you didn't address the issue of the appointments.
So, yes, on the issue of appointments, the manner in which people were appointed, I am not privy to it.
But you do know how it was skewed.
Yes.
Of course, you said you're the one who's the street.
No. I said, yes, it was put there, but the logic... it is there. It is there, and it is a fact. Yes. But the logic on which it was done is different. But again, that's why we said, what is happening is, even when you listen to the Mount Kera region the other day with the members, I think you put the clip on with Martha Karua, she said they're going to put their wish list. And I think that's a good issue. There was the economic forum done with Mount Kenya. They will put their wish list. Because right now, before, like I said, in the past, people are thinking that is the tribal coalitions that's going to decide how government is formed. But I said this time in 2022, that conversation has changed. Because you will find that even the youth are going to negotiate for positions in government. So there is a difference between what happened in the past and the difference that has happened now.
What do you mean
this hustler narrative is changing that.
What do you mean tribal coalitions? Because whoever, even if the deputy president gets into a coalition with someone, they'll be from somewhere. We know where the deputy president
is from. If you've watched the deputy president's if you listen to the deputy president's discussions with the country, throughout, it's about the agenda. It's always been about the bottom-up economic model. He has focused on that and he's been consistent. It's been the hustler narrative, and the hustlers are the ones at the bottom of the economic pyramid, whom the focus of economic growth will start from them going upwards. That has been the current conversations. So I said there might have been a different conversation before. We realized it did not work. And hence the reason why it's changing now to find a model that will work. Like we said, if you do something many times, the same way, and it doesn't work, then it's a time for reflection and say, okay, how am I going to change this? So yes, the conversation will change now because those negotiating are clear that if our agenda is not on the table, not our tribe, our agenda. And when you look at the coast region is not one tribe or two tribes, it's several different communities.
Okay.
But because the economy of the coast region is similar, they are coming in as a region with the similar weather, similar productivity, and therefore can negotiate on those productivities. When you hear Central is negotiating, they have got a similar, again, productivity. You will know that they are focusing on tea, they are focusing on traditional coffee, they are focusing on their macadamia nuts, and their horticulture because of their nearness to the, to the market and to the export market and so on. So you'll find that the economic, because, and I'll explain this, the bottom-up economic model is not a one-size-fits-all. It will be implemented, but differently in every region to the specifics of what that region can produce and do.
Okay.
So, and hence the reason why you have these regional meetings. So if you look at the Deputy President's regional meetings, they were focused on saying, this economic model, how do we apply it in your region? It will be applied differently in Western. It will be applied differently in Central. It will be applied differently in the West Pokot region.
Okay.
It will be applied differently in northern part of Kenya.
All right. Omalo, I need to take a break, but I'll...
One thing I want to say to my friend Gladys, devolution was only 15% of the revenue. 85% is at the national level. So you can't come and claim that devolution resolves the issue of the national cake. When it comes to the cabinet, which implements all the government policies, look at the percentage of distribution of those cabinet positions. Where are they centered from? Almost 60 or 70%, they are centered from where the president comes from and where the deputy president comes from. So we cannot run away from that. We are talking about the national cake. When His Excellency President Uhuru went to Kisumu, majority of those projects, the heavy investment was from the national government, not the county government. So there was little from the county government, but the big percentage comes from the national government. And when we talk of regions, regions are composed of tribes. And these tribes have something in common. You've seen Moses Kuria talking about the Mount Kenya region. Why? It's predominantly the Kikuyu community. What is their interest? Their economic activity is centered on tea, it's centered on coffee. So as you focus in that economic model, it is trying to bring in the value proposition of that particular area. When you come from the region where I come from, the big farmer who is there is about maize. So I want to hear in the manifesto of this party or coalition, what is there for me as a maize farmer? Is there issues to do with subsidized, for example, inputs? We have people who are doing dairy. They're making losses. So they want a government that in that party manifesto, what is it focusing on? When you go to the bigger Western region, the issue of sugar, Mumias is gone. Nzoia sugar is gone. Pan paper, which they were providing employment to the youth, the welfare of that particular towns. Right now, as you go to Western region, the towns have closed down because the industries that were there providing livelihood, they're gone. Look at the way the universities have been distributed.
Yeah.
They've been more in some regions where the president comes from. But the other regions, we brought everything on the floor of the house. Nothing has been done. As legislators, we propose. But when it comes to implementation, it is at the discretion of the executive. So we cannot run away from this. When you look at the models, the way people are coming together in terms of strategy, they are saying on that table, and I want to follow Moses Kuria. He has formed his own parties, Chama cha Kazi or whatever. Why are they all those Mount Kenya parties have come together? They want to be given a recognition and to be put on the table of negotiation. So the future in this country is about coalition, not a single party.
Okay.
Not a single party.
All right.
Thank you.
Esanga?
Oh, sorry. I thought we were going for a break, so I hadn't really formed my thoughts. But just to appreciate, of course, the comments from both the panelists. And, you know, to answer my dear sister friend, she has said very many things. And some yes, good, but I want to reiterate also what Honorable Wamalwa has said. The president, when he was going around, he was launching national projects and not county government projects. And just to also reiterate the fact that we celebrate devolution, but we know not enough is being devolved. Not enough national funds are being devolved. And this has been a big conversation for the proponents of BBI. I know what from the other side they were saying it is possible, but it all boils down to the goodwill of the government. But with entrenching some of these things in the constitution by law, it would be great if we can have a country where even over 50% of national resources are devolved to the counties. And really, when you think about it and the services that the counties are supposed to be giving, in fact, this bottoms-up sort of narrative, you know, the whole devolution concept was exactly that, you know, to send more money down to the Mwananchi, so that the Mwananchi can have control over their resources, including the public participation that has been part of our constitution. And we are still, you know, trying to entrench it deeper and deeper and get proper models of public participation. The idea of public participation, of course, is that on the ground and at home, in the rural village, everywhere, even in the urban, Kenyans can decide what national funds and government funds can do for them as a people. And I think that can also be construed as a bottoms-up sort of method. And I want to also agree with her on the issue of fiscal discipline. In fact, she spoke very well when she mentioned the issue of fiscal discipline. And I want to say, again, the lessons we draw from this particular government when it comes to fiscal discipline and assuring Kenyans that their money is in good hands and dealing with corruption. It still boils down to that. There will be no economic model that we can bring and that can be successful in this country today if we cannot deal decisively with the issue of grand corruption that has been and to prevent it from happening in future.
Yep.
And until we have clear conversations about that, I think we are being insincere to Kenyans, asking them to give them their vote, yet we have this thing, this elephant in the room that people, that our leaders are not decisively dealing with. So I think that is my comment for now.
All right, I'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll still continue this discussion of the season of coalitions and what's in it for Kenyans. I see a lot of your feedback. I'll read some of them when we come back at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. See you in a bit.